Okay, welcome everybody. We're going to start today on the mat with a soft ball with a little bit of breathing, a little bit of some pelvic floor work. So I'm going to start just with some side lying. The ball is going to come underneath the right side of my ribs as we start to kind of visualize the rib cage and our breathing kind of like an accordion. So the right arm will lengthen long. The ball is underneath the right side. Right leg is on the bottom. It will kick forward and the left leg kicks back. Go ahead and enjoy a nice big side bend over the ball, stretching open through the ribs. Little bit of sort of like the ball is pushing up into the ribs and you're wrapping around it. The ball is not in my armpit, it's on my rib cage. Starting to add a little bit of movement, let's pivot into the ball, and I actually want you to focus this exercise on your left obliques. So how do you sort of push the bottom of your ribs into the ball underneath you? And inhale, and exhale, pivot. I am also using my left leg. So I'm starting with a breathing exercise that actually connects your core deeper to your limbs. Let's do 3 more. And exhale. Pivot on the ball. 2. Start to draw that left waist in and up. And last one. Let's stay lifted here. If we can, little pulses towards the inside of your right foot. Scoop the wheel of your pelvis just ever so slightly so that you make sure you don't creep this into your low back, but you keep it in the left obliques and the front of your abdominals. 4, 3, 2, and 1, and stretch all the way up and over. Dive and twist, rotating your body down towards the mat. Now the ball is going to come underneath your diaphragm. Your knees can bend. Maybe they find a comfortable sort of like wide second. Heels click together. And we'll start to wave through our spine, now facing prone. Enjoy the wrap down towards the floor and then a little lift back up. Breathing. Waving through your spine. Start to explore whatever breathing feels good to you. I'm exhaling as I go down, but you also might like to inhale as you go down. Last one. Picking yourself all the way back up. Now let's just rock a little bit right to left. Using the ball, you're sort of massaging into the front of your abdominals. A little right to left. Shearing your ribs, maybe a little bit of a rotation as though you're starting to peek over your shoulder. I'm going to walk the ball down an inch and keep that same motion going. So now I'm just a little bit more into my tummy. I also think in this position I'm going to parallel my arms, and as I twist I'm going to start to add a little bit of a push into one arm, getting the back of my shoulder to wake up, and again I feel those left obliques. Back together, and then push. I am in a comfortable leg position. Whatever feels best for you. Maybe you want to lengthen them out. That's okay too. That actually feels pretty good. All right, so focus the feeling through your waist, your abs, and your core, not just your low back and the limbs. Last one. And then gently start to bend at those knees. Shift your weight off the ball. And then we'll switch to the other side. So bringing the ball underneath your left ribs, left leg will kick forward, right leg is back, and we'll take a nice side bend. A moment, feel like the weight of your head is soft on that bicep. Start to open up through the side of your body. Woo. Let's add that gentle movement, pivoting on the ball, lifting, and then soften back and down. And exhale, pivot. Do you feel those right obliques fire up? You are trying to stay balanced on the ball by hugging close to your spine, the length of your body, right? Zipping yourself up as though you're wearing a really long parka. Let's do twice more. reaching as though I'm going to grab the inside of my left foot. Last one, picking that up, little bit of weight, just a little bit in that left hand, right? So a lot of it actually is in your core. And then pulse forward on a diagonal, just ever so slightly, as though you're going to grab the inside of that left foot. Soften your shoulders, widen your collarbones. Exhale, almost there. 4, 3, 2, and 1, and soften. Everything back and down. Open that up and release. Carefully start to pivot now. We're going to bring the ball behind us into the center of our back as we now move into the front of our body. Now take a nice big stretch. Whatever feels good this morning. My head can touch the mat. That's okay for me. Shoulders are soft, arms are reaching, arching through my spine just a little bit. My low back is totally safe here. I don't have any feeling of tightness or compression in the low back. And I'm going to start to move kind of through puppet arms, as though one of my arms is being pulled by a string, reaching just slightly higher, as though I'm shearing my back into the ball. My pelvis is rocking just ever so slightly. As I lengthen one side of my body, just that little back and forth. Both arms now reach up overhead. Cradle the head in the hands, and let's add a pivot. Lifting, what I want you to focus on is now you're translating your ribs back into the ball. I have to move back an inch. That feels a little more comfortable for me and my range of motion. Inhale to lengthen. Don't linger here. Exhale. Pick it right back up again. Inhale. And exhale. Right back up again. So I'm focused on the breathing, thinking of the core. Working proximal before I add the limbs. Last 3. Looking over my kneecaps. Last 2. Translating those ribs back. Almost there. Last 1. Stay lifted. Let's add a twist. We're going to inhale to the right and exhale all the way to the left. Inhale to the right and exhale all the way to the left. Spiraling around that central axis. Good. Keep squeezing those abdominals in and up. And try just a little bit pushing down into your feet. Almost there. Last 3. Give me 2. Almost there. Last 1. Back through center. Soften everything back and down. Enjoy a brief stretch. Opening up to the abdominals, the ribs, the armpits, maybe even a little bit the chin to the sternum. Then exhale, start to pick it right back up again. This time we're going to inhale, only go half as far back, and exhale, curl. Deeper. Inhale. So now we are not lowering all the way down. We're staying contracted and then going deeper. Almost there. Pushing into those feet. 4. Give me 3. Last 2. Pivot on the ball. Last 1. So we're going to add the twist back. This time we're going to inhale to the left and exhale all the way to the right. And inhale to the left and exhale all the way to the right. Spiraling around that central axis. Woo. Adding that little bit of shake. Almost there. Last 4. Last 3. Give me 2. Think of your ribs as moving, not your elbows. Last 1. Almost there. Hold those ribs. Don't lose it. Back through center. Soften everything back and down. Let it breathe. Nice big open inhale. Exhale, curl yourself all the way up to seated. We're going to remove the ball. We're going to bring it between our thighs. So right now, I'm a little bit closer, actually more between my knees. Feet firmly planted. And what we're going to try to do is spread through the feet as though you feel from the big toe all the way to the pinky side of the foot. Hands come behind your thighs. Add a lift to the heart, just like we had over the ball a minute ago. The feeling of extension. Now tuck the wheel of your pelvis. Squeeze the ball, flexion. Inhale, extension. And flex. Back and forth. Can you squeeze the ball and start to zip up that parka again, like you're wearing a really long coat from the feet to the sternum? You're pulling towards that center line. Tuck and roll, and then pick it back up. Last one, tuck and roll. Stay here. Maybe you float the arms off. Now I just want you to squeeze in on the ball like you're going to pop it. All the while, you're zipping your abdominals in and up. Melt through the shoulders. Everything else is quiet. That's the hard part, right? Really focus on the feeling of drawing in and up through the waist. 4, 3, last 2, and 1. Pick yourself all the way back up. Add a lift of the arms if you want. This is a very deep hip flexion. Oh, so you're working even in this position. Now exhale, tuck and roll. Pick it back up. Now exhale, tuck and roll. Squeezing in on that ball. Scooping it. Almost there. Let's do 4. Don't let go. Last 3. So we're starting to make the movement bigger, right? But we haven't forgotten about our center. Hold the scoop. We're going to add a twist. Inhale to the left. Exhale, center. Inhale to the right. Exhale, center. So now I want you to squeeze the ball, even as you open your limbs to the other side. So don't let go of that parka. Zipping it in and up. Inhale. Last one left. Last one right. Pick it all the way up. Nice and tall. Exhale, pour yourself all the way down slow and control till the very end. Oh, when you feel it melt. Carefully walk the feet towards you so that you now have your ball. You're going to lift up through the hips and bring the ball underneath your sacrum. Let's quickly just roll through some gentle pelvic clocks. Loosening the hips, letting it go. I'm alternating right then left, swinging my pelvis around. And then I'm going to settle the pelvis right on top of the ball, and I'm going to keep it there. Now it's not going to move, right? It's going to remain nice and still as we continue to build that abdominal connection, thinking deep core and base of pelvis. Holding the pelvis still, start to move through your marches. Just a little lift and lower. Let's check in with our arms real quick here. Lots of times what happens is in order to help find that balance, we end up clenching through our jaw and our neck. Our shoulders sometimes start to internally rotate, and then suddenly we've lost the attention to our abs, and we're compensating in other parts of our body. So try to roll those shoulders back and down. What I'm thinking of is the palm is flat, but the inside of my bicep is spiraling up towards the ceiling, which really helps me get the back of my shoulders engaged. From here, we're going to add on, finding both legs in tabletop position, a little more balance work for us as we move into those toe taps. Now, as we progress with those limbs in free space, that's going to be harder for our abs and the back of our shoulders. So really connect with the mat underneath you from the top of your head through the fingertips, right? And keep the weight on that ball nice and balanced. Just a little dip. Notice that my knee isn't changing position. It's the hip that is opening and closing. From here, pick up both legs, draw them together. Both legs lengthen and bend. Both legs lengthen and bend. Now, sure enough, as soon as those feet go farther away from you, you may feel like the shoulders are internally rotating. Whew. It's like they want to kick up or something. So keep a sense that you're pulling them back and down. I am squeezing my thighs together as though I still have a ball between my legs. 3, careful you don't arch in that low back. 2, last one, you're going to keep it out there. Hold, find your Pilates feet. Kick both legs up towards the ceiling. Careful you don't swing it. Notice how much I stopped and then start to float them back down. So it's not about pulling fast. I actually visualize my legs are in mud. Ooh, and I'm pulling slow back up to that 90-degree fold in my hip crease. Your pelvis does not change position on the ball. Another way to think about it is the negative space underneath your low back does not change position. My left shoulder is starting to internally rotate. Not my right, but my left. So try to think top to bottom, right to left, front to back. Everything is working. Almost there. Last two. Wrap those shoulders back and down. Last one, I'm squeezing my thighs together. They're working really hard to connect. Reach at 45, almost there, mermaid's tail. Open and close. Open and close. Open, then squeeze. Just the legs. This is not a big open. It's like maybe 12 inches. Squeeze. 4, 3, 2, last one. Squeeze, bend to tabletop. Let the wheel of your pelvis turn. Oh, and take a little stretch. I'm going to flap my feet. Sometimes they get a little bit tight for me through that series. We did it. Good job, you guys. Carefully bring those feet down onto the mat, slowly lifting the hips up, rolling your spine down. Oh, boy, that feels like you're coming down from like a cloud, right? Strong, straight legs, lengthen out. Ball reaches up towards the ceiling. We're going to lengthen the arms up and back. Here's your inhale. You're going to exhale, nod the chin to the chest. Squeeze the thighs together. Curl yourself up. Roll up through center. You're going to open your feet to give the ball to your feet. And then you're going to start to squeeze the ball with your feet as you pour yourself all the way back down. Reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, curl. Squeeze up and over, forward fold. Go ahead and grab that ball with your hands. Draw those legs back together as you roll back down. Tuck and roll. And then again, pick it right back up. Right back up. Up and over. Squeeze in on that ball and pour yourself back down. We've got one more to do. Curling, lifting. Don't lose those legs. Still working. Slowly grab onto that ball and pick yourself all the way up. All right. Set the ball out of the way. We'll turn to face each other, sitting down onto the mat now, moving through a little bit of a mermaid to close. So for mermaid today, I'm going to tuck my legs tight together underneath me, which I find to be a little bit harder because we want to tip this way, right? So I have to think, we're right back where we started, right? Where are these left obliques that are contracted and holding you in this position? Just like we had our sideline. Left hand can grab your shins to help you stretch that right arm up and over. And take a moment. Feel like your left ear is trying to drop to the shoulder. Shoulder is trying to drop to the hip. And the hip is trying to drop into the ground. We're going to add some rotation and some breathing. On an exhale, you're going to reach rotating down and try to stretch the right arm away from the back of your left hip. If you squeeze your thighs together just a little bit, do we come back to a little bit of a core work? That feeling of your left obliques. Now peek out from under your arm as you inhale up towards the ceiling. I am still flexing those left obliques. Exhale. And inhale. Oh, and exhale. And last one, inhale. We're going to open. We're going to lift all the way back up. Now let's go ahead and tip. That right hand's going to come down. Find the elbow and stretch up and over the other way. Maybe it feels good to rotate down. Twisting for just a moment. If you have your legs in a normal mermaid, this might feel normal. For me, it's tighter today because my legs are squeezing. They're a little bit farther behind me, right? And I'm just thinking about twisting my ribcage separate of my pelvis for just a moment. Right hand's going to come back underneath you. Turn back towards each other. Where are your left obliques? Can you use those left obliques to pull yourself back up to seated? Very good. And we'll carefully bring the hands behind us, swing the legs back in front of us, and all the way over to the other side. Good. So sides may feel a little different. Maybe this one's super easy for you. Maybe this side feels harder to stay upright. But we will always grab that shin if you'd like, that little assist as though it's kind of pulling you just a little bit more, right, over to one side. Now I'm going to switch your breathing just a little bit here. We're actually going to now inhale as we turn down, as though you could send the breath to the back of your left ribs. And exhale as you come up. Inhale as you spiral down. Notice real quick though, as you come up, you're not upright. You're still leaning over to the right. You're just peeking out from underneath your arm. So we don't actually come up to seated. We're still leaning. So in this lateral flexion, we're adding rotation. Woo-ja. All the way back up. Let's tip like that T-bot up and over, grabbing. Good. The mat with your left hand and spiral. Oh, and this one's going to feel really good. As I try to turn my rib cage towards the front of my mat, my pelvis is very anchored. Those legs are behind me. And I'm just going to take a moment like this to breathe. A lot of core work even here, that feeling of sort of hugging towards your spine, the lifting and lengthening around into the stretch. Don't collapse into your joints, but think that you're still stretching out of your center. Exhaling, pulling that waist in and up. Let's carefully turn back towards each other. Good, reaching that right arm up like a lever load. Somebody's going to grab it, push into that left arm, picking yourself all the way back up. Good work. Let's move into, again, just a little bit of movement for our legs, and our hips will now stretch them out long. I am in a wide stance. This one, maybe you don't go as wide, that's okay. Maybe it's a little narrower, whatever feels best for you. Maybe your knees even bend, that's okay too. What I want you to try to find is your right and left sit bone down onto the mat, right? And then think your spine is stacked on top of that. Let's start by bringing our right hand behind us. Lift that left arm up towards the ceiling. Enjoy a nice chest stretch. Continue to circle it back behind you. Take a moment where you're lifting your heart. Oh, like a day at the beach, right? Start to shift the weight to the left arm and then start to pick yourself up out of that left shoulder as the right arm comes up. We're going to keep going and we're going to reach towards the outside of our left foot as we exhale, fold forward. Picking that back up, right arm comes up. Again, start to enjoy that day at the beach. Feel like you're lifting your heart up out of your shoulders as you start to shift the weight. Careful, good, that you don't slump into that right shoulder. Now stay down in that left sit bone as you reach over your body and try to stretch towards the pinky side of your right foot. Back up. Moving into a variation of saw. I want to move a little slower in saw today to enjoy the stretch, right? And to think of that diagonal. You're lifting your abdominals to twist and stretch through that X marks the spot. Last time here to the right. Hand comes down, lift, up and over, push energy down into that right shoulder, stretch open through the back of the limbs. Woo. Gently start to stack yourself all the way back up. Both hands are going to come back to that T. Let's draw those legs tight together. Reach the arms up towards the ceiling. Now I want you to go up towards the ceiling first and start to lean forward. Everybody, don't let your spine bend yet. You are in a flat back. And I want you to try to anchor your bottom. As best you can. Anchor that bottom. It doesn't come with you. You're reaching out of it. Only when you can't go any farther do you soften and round. Round through that spine. Flexing through your feet. Try to push the big toe metatarsal into an invisible wall in front of you. Does that change your stretch? Slowly start to stack yourself all the way back up, one vertebra at a time. Nice and tall, bending at your knees. Let's swing them to one side as we gently pour ourselves all the way down onto the mat. Good, hands come along beside us. We're going to breathe, we're going to soften. Figure for your right foot over your left thigh and gently start to pull the knee into your chest. Your hands can come onto that right shin, or if you'd like, you can thread them underneath. Sometimes I like this because with my right elbow, I'm going to push just a little bit into the front of my right hip. Oof, little bit of a glute stretch here from all of that squat work. Gently, if it's appropriate for you, you're going to start to shift the weight of your bottom over towards the left. You're going to grab your right hand with your, right foot with your left hand, and then you're going to open your right arm out to the side, and you're going to look at it. And you're going to soften your body into this spiral. Opening up through the waist now. Now I would say I have completely let go of my abs. I'm even trying to let go of my hip because my hand is holding my foot. So if I can get those hip flexors to turn off because I'm not keeping my foot where it's at, my hand is. That's my goal. Carefully start to curl the legs towards you just a little bit as they come back up through center, and then set it back down. We're going to switch. Right foot comes down, left foot comes on top. You can stay here or start to push that right thigh into your chest, opening up through the outside of your left glute. Hands can come onto your shins or behind your thigh. Either, I think, feels good. Maybe just a little rocking just to test the waters first. And then you're gently going to start to rock the weight of your legs over towards the right. That right foot's going to come, left foot's going to come down, right hand is going to grab onto it, and your left arm's going to open out. Try to let go of your left hip flexors. Gently start to pull the thighs towards your nose first. Think of a slight posterior tilt as you bring the legs back through center so your sacrum feels soft. It's long on the back, on the mat, and then gently pull both knees into your chest. Take just a moment to curl kind of into like a reverse child pose. We're upside down. Then we'll gently stretch ourselves all the way back out. Last but not least, we're going to roll ourselves all the way up. Reaching through those fingertips. Think about curling the wheel of your pelvis, squeezing those thighs together. Lengthen your low back. Where is that hamstring stretch again? Keep lifting, keep lifting, keep lifting. Anchor your pelvis behind you as you stretch forward. And then slowly bring yourself all the way back up. I'm almost there. Head is the last to lift. Wonderful job, you guys. Thank you. That's class.